Hello and welcome to Top Sim. My name is William Lebowski, and this is the very last round of the North American Sim Racing Series Rookie League. I believe this is season 13, but here we are launching into Eau Rouge and up through Raidillon, and this is lap 1 of the race, and we're already coming up into some big trouble here. You can see a couple cars just absolutely getting launched. The cars from behind me don't slow down at all. Everybody's just really ready to move through it. I tried to slow down for what I thought was a safe speed to slow down the other cars around me. Didn't necessarily have the same idea. It did appear to be very costly for some people. We did get hit. There was that screen freeze that you saw that was in the game, not a product of the recording. And so it does make it a little difficult for me to assess really what happened to me there, who hit me, how I went flying, what else I made contact with. But it doesn't really matter. I believe it only said we had light damage following that. And I didn't notice anything real big in the difference of the setup or the handling of the car following that pretty big shunt, so it wasn't necessarily a big concern. It was easy to just goldfish that one out of the way once I realized the car was going to be just fine, and that's really what you got to do in this situation, and especially a track like Spa. Everyone is very excited to race Spa, especially in ACC. It's the biggest track there. When you have other competition like maybe the Nordschleife and Le Mans on the same sim, it gets split a little bit, but when you're at Spa and ACC, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to have a great race because it is one of the most iconic, and it is definitely the most iconic track in ACC. So it's a huge event, I think, to everybody that's on ACC. When you're at Spa, it's a big deal, and because of that, I feel like there were a lot of mistakes that I really were just referring to that incident in lap 1. I didn't exactly see what happened. I left. There was a debrief afterwards, but I left before that. Spoiler alert by the title, it probably didn't go my way. But like you could just see that gray Ferrari getting way loose, way overdriving themselves into the bus stop chicane. And again, this is lap 1, and this guy's really making some risky moves. With the one that we just saw that we came upon and the one that he did with us in the bus stop. So it just doesn't necessarily totally make sense going forward. But here we have a lot of work cut out for ourselves. We're actually sitting in a relatively decent position. We're sitting here now 16th after everything's kind of settled down. Now we have no pressure from behind. If you saw in turn 1, everybody took themselves out. I didn't exactly see how that started. But anyway, we've got ourselves set up. 16th, we see cars ahead of us. It's a good place to be. I'm pretty calm and happy at this point in time. We're getting a little bit closer to the cars, still holding on 16th, and I take too much curb entering Raidillon, and we just spin out. I knew that this was pretty disastrous, but at the same time, we didn't make any contact with the walls. I only lost one position. As you see, we get past right there. And luckily, this is an R Factor 2, so I didn't have to deal with a massive vibration of a flat spot for the rest of the race. But this was a little bit of a big, I wouldn't say race decider, but it was definitely a moment where my mentality could have ruined the race for me. And I saw that happened to one person, at least in Discord chat after the race, which was really disappointing because it's something that I've struggled with specifically, and I've talked about it, on the channel in overcoming that. And it's, the big key for me was Ted Lasso's tip of having the mind of the goldfish, having the memory of a goldfish, because it really doesn't matter what happened 30 seconds ago or 3 seconds ago or what just happened. What really matters is what you're going to do in the next 0.3, 3, and 30 seconds going forward. But here we are, we getting back into this Audi pack, all three of us, and making our way through the first one. Now we're coming up through this second guy. This is that guy that kind of knocked us off track. And so I didn't really feel too bad about getting aggressive into Pouhon here. Usually Pouhon is one of those corners where you kind of want to play it safe because it is very high speed, very high risk, and not necessarily always high reward. Like we're talking about one position here for 17th place. That's 17th place. That's not a lot of reward for what would have been the risk there. That being said, I didn't I felt good about being on the inside, and I didn't feel bad about putting that car in that situation after they bumped me off track. And I know I'm not supposed to have that kind of mentality, and that's kind of the opposite thing of being a goldfish when you pull up to a car, that you had incidents with laps ago. But it was an opportunity for me to move forward, and I felt like I needed to make that happen as early as possible. My prediction was that these gaps are going to only widen whatever gaps that are currently existing at this point in the field, or at this point in the race with the field. And so I wanted to move up as early as I could while these gaps were as small as I could. So here we're making that a little bit of a risky move, a little bit of an unclean entry on this Ferrari, but we made sure to give plenty of space going forward to the rest of these corners. Especially didn't want to send the message that I was trying to intentionally not give space, especially after that first corner. And a little bit of contact with me. I don't understand some of these points of contact, like the one that we got hip-jacked off track earlier, that one right there. But then I've also been on the other side of them before, and especially in this series. And it really opened my eyes on how different that could look to somebody else versus what it looks like to you, and versus the conceptual car control that you have versus what they have. And as you see, we're moving up here now into 14th, making that move on the outside of Raidillon. I was pretty happy with myself there. I was pretty happy with that move, and even looking back on it, I'm a pretty big fan of it. And so now we're still moving up into 14th now, and we've got 2 cars ahead of us headed into the bus stop, and they're going to start playing games with each other headed into the bus stop. It's going to start outbraking each other, making a little contact, a little bit of sliding, and it's going to be the perfect opportunity just for us to go right on by. So I'm starting to get pretty confident with my game plan here. I needed to be calm and in control starting from as far back as we did. And I felt like I was doing that. And right now I'm starting to lose that little bit of calmness and a little bit of control here. This is a lapped car behind me, and you can recognize it from that bus stop incident that we just went through. I believe they decided to pit right there because we came out a lap ahead of them. They are a lap down right now, and you can see the blue flags are waving if you're looking at the side. Looking at the marshals, but they're deciding to race us like normal. And one thing that I didn't necessarily love about this Rookie League was the clarification about blue flags. And the standard stuff that is obviously correct about blue flags is it's the responsibility of the passer. Oh, here's the end of my race. Look at that. So I picked the wrong. You see what happened there very clearly. I went right. I should have gone left. This was my fault. However, at the moment that this happened, I wanted to be like, why did that car just hold the brakes? And if you can see my fuel on the bottom right, we were 1 lap away from pitting. So if I just had either pit 1 lap earlier, or if this just didn't happen to me at this point in the race, I would have got my pit stop, and we could have maybe avoided this whole thing, or maybe we were able to double up on everything. But my car just couldn't make it to the pits. It was undrivable. I didn't have any control. Let's check out the replay here. You can see that there was an incident. I should have gone left like the car in front of me. I went right, and there we are. And so I ended up going back to the menu, taking myself back to the pits. You can see here now we're going to drop out into second to last place at this point. And I decide just to return it back into the pits, call it a race. I didn't want to spend the last 30 minutes driving like that. I spent 8 minutes driving at the back of the field, and I just realized it was kind of there was kind of no point to it. And I feel like that was the end of my race for sure. It was a little disappointing. I felt like I had some really good moments there that could have turned into something awesome. But in the end, that is what it is. Thank you guys for watching. Look out for more league racing in the future, but that is all for that season of rookies, and we'll see you in the next one.